Hello, 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 it's the Fat Boy back again after an awful race back in Interlagos, which definitely completely got rid of our chances of getting fifth from AlphaTauri in the Constructors' Championship, and now we are here in Jeddah for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. And I think we are gonna take a 5 place grid penalty, a 10 place grid penalty. I think it's a 5 place grid penalty for changing an ICE. I do not want to have a loss of power down the streets, especially when Jeddah streets are really long. So obviously, I do not want to be a sitting duck when I'm over there. So we're gonna have to change it, and we're gonna see how well we're gonna do in qualifying. Maybe even aim for a podium in one of my strongest tracks over here, if not my strongest track. And before we get to anything, be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications in order not to miss any future uploads. And looking at this, we're playing at 102 AI difficulty, 102% AI difficulty. So this has been the highest difficulty I've ever played in my entire life for the My Team Career Mode series. As we are here for the penultimate qualifying session of Season 2. As you can see, we are being interviewed by some reporter, and we are gonna head into Q1 with high hopes of getting into Q3 quite comfortably. As we do lock up there at turn 24 of the hairpin with DRS, we're gonna go down the finish line, and it's gonna be P5. We are just over 5.5 tenths behind Charles Leclerc, and we are P12 right now as we head back to the pit lane there. Um, One thing I've been wondering is whether I should change the front wing angle down by one click to 10-4 wings instead of the standard 11-4 wings. Mainly because that we are second best in the aerodynamics at this time of recording, I think. So I think we are able to take a gamble, and I think we have enough time to set a lap time to compare between the two. As we now head towards the pit lane exit, we are gonna go all the way to when we actually set the lap time. We are just below 300 and 50 milliseconds here. As now we go past the turn 24 hairpin, we did gain just over 1.5 tenths of a second. As now we are gonna gain over 5.5 tenths, and we are P8. We actually go for another lap, but I think this lap is when we return to the pit lane, because not only we were bad, but Mick Schumacher also got in the way as well, and I think he was in a qualifying lap as well. So I think we both affected both of our laps, or maybe he was just going for a warm-up lap and he just didn't get out of our way. So it could have been either those two factors, but either way, we should comfortably be into Q2 with 2 seconds to go, as now qualifying is officially over as I enter my pit box right here. I don't know what the team is doing, but they should be putting the car back into the garage, and there they go, doing their work there, and we should be comfortably in P8. Yes, we are. And Fernando Alonso actually is the fastest man on the track with 4.5 tenths clear of Max Verstappen. And if you didn't see there, we do have a 5 place grid penalty. So if we sit in the top 5, it would still be as if we didn't even set a qualifying lap in Q3. So we're gonna have to put as much effort as possible now, heading into Q2, trying to get the car into Q3 safely. As now I think we are gonna fast forward a little bit here, or maybe we're just gonna tamper with the front wing aerodynamics. I'm not really sure what I'm doing here, just checking if the setup's correct, and actually we do add a bit more downforce to the front wing aero, as we're gonna go for another lap here in Jeddah. As we fast forward all the way till we finish the lap here onto the final DRS zone of this lap, aka the first DRS zone of the main straight, and it's actually 1 minute 26.3. We are below 2.5 tenths behind Perez, who is actually on the medium compound tires, which really shows how fast the Red Bulls are towards the second half of this season, like just how I said in the last video in Brazil. So then here we go towards the end of this lap. We are going to the braking zone of turn 24 of the hairpin here. We actually up to 8.5 tenths, but we do lock up the brakes there, and we actually lose quite a bit of time, and we are down to just below 6 tenths of a second, and that puts us up to P7. Had we not made that lock up into the final corner, we could have been P5, just right with Verstappen there. but he's on the medium, so this is not his true pace because the mediums are overall slower than the soft compound tires, but they last longer. So I think Red Bull do not want to waste their soft compound tires as they know that they have the pace and the ability to get into Q3 quite comfortably. And as you can see, like we are just below 1.5 tenths behind Carlos Sainz, and our job right now is to get that 1.5 tenths that we need to get in front of him. If not, we could be out of Q3 at this rate because we are P9. We are on the chopping block. I think we are P9 if I remember. As now we don't have any more new set of soft tires to use for our final lap here in Q2, and I think we're just gonna have to use the tires that has the least amount of wear on the tires. So we're gonna have to go for this set of tires. I'm not sure if this is the new set, I mean an old set, or the current set that we used in our previous lap, the lap that we just set. So all we have to do is just find that 1.5 tenths that we are looking for, just to be safe in Q2 and get that progression into Q3. So now here we actually find just over a tenth of a second throughout the whole lap as we now head into the hairpin, a beautiful apex with a good exit there, and we gain over 2 tenths, over just below 2 tenths of a second, as we're just below 4 tenths of a second there, and we are in P4. That was actually quite a good lap as we are 84 thousandths of a second below Valtteri Bottas lap time. So this shows that we have quite a bit of pace, but I think this is not the full pace that all the cars are showing because we are now down to P7, and had we not set that lap we could have been in P11 or P12 just like in Interlagos. So thankfully we actually went out and set a faster lap just to be safe, so we have a good entry into Q3, and obviously we're going to be aiming for at least a top 5 so that we can at least be demoted to 10th place because of the 5 place grid penalty. And it's as if like we have never set a lap time in Q3 at all, so we're gonna have to treat it that way. So we are just gonna aim for very high position, especially in this track that I know that I have a high, I have a lot of skill here, not skill, high pace, high amount of pace here around these corners of Jeddah. So obviously we're gonna have to make use of that one final set of tires that we have in our grasp, as I would say. So I'm gonna see what lap time Carlos Sainz set, and that's a 1 minute 25.806. And the top 5, Lando Norris has a 1 minute 25.4. So we're gonna have to bring out all the pace, all the ability that we can get out of this car. And we have one lap just to get myself into P5 that we have aimed throughout this qualifying session. So quite a quite an ambitious goal, but quite reasonable as well. So as we now head towards the exit of the pit lane, we're actually gonna fast forward to the turn 24 hairpin, where we're gonna set our final lap heading into the race. So as you can see here, we have DRS open down into 8th gear, crossing the finish line right around now. We are actually quite quick here with the straight line speed. We actually brake just after the 100-meter board there. Not a bad apex heading into turn 1 and 2. Really tight corners. You can actually spin the car because of locking up the rears. So you have to be careful of that. Now we're heading into turn 3. We're actually quite quick. We flick the car left and right now, heading into the high speed corners here. We did miss the apex a bit there, which really messed up the rest of the corners here. So now we head towards the exit here, heading into the second DRS zone. Heading into turn 9, I believe this is. We are just below 1.5 tenths clear of Daniel Ricciardo in sector 1. As we do take quite a bit of curb there on the apex there. We could have used a bit more track on the exit to gain more time, but it's okay as we now head into the next medium speed corner here. Not a bad exit actually, and I think we should gain quite a few hundreds of tenths of time. So now we head towards the next left-right chicane. This is where Mick Schumacher and Charles Leclerc crashed last season in FP2, if I'm not wrong. As we now take the DRS here, heading into the final corner of turn 24. We're gonna brake just before the 50-meter board, I'd say around 60 meters, and we take quite a late apex there, trying to prioritize exit speed. As we now have DRS again, as we now cross the finish line. It's going to be a 1 minute 25.3, and we actually get a top 5. Quite surprising indeed.
With qualifying finished, it's time to remind ourselves of our top 3. Verstappen, Perez and Valtteri Bottas. With qualifying complete, all that remains is the main event. We'll be live and uninterrupted for the Grand Prix tomorrow, so make sure you join us then.
Well, surprisingly, we actually get that 5th place that we need to cover up that 5th place grid penalty so that we can start on our top 10. So this really shows that we have the pace and the ability to really try to get a high points finish around this track, maybe even a podium. And if I'm very lucky, maybe even my first win around the streets of Jeddah. So we'll just see what we have to do. Obviously, I'll be pushing myself 110%. I'm sure you will see that later in the race, so stay tuned for that. And I'll see you on the grid for race day.
So here we are then, welcoming you today to one of the jewels of the Arab world, Jeddah. One of the biggest cities in Saudi Arabia, second only to Riyadh, gateway to Mecca, and one of the biggest ports in the region. And now, host to the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. An interesting circuit this one, the newest on the Formula One calendar. And like most street circuits, it's sure to present the drivers with an interesting technical challenge. Some challenging turns for the drivers to negotiate as well. And at the same time, they're going to have to manage their tyres very carefully in this heat. Anthony Davidson joins me once again in the commentary box, and it's fantastic to have you with us here today. But I'm curious, as a man with experience out on the track, how do you stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
But from the moment qualifying's over, you start to feel the adrenaline in your body build up and the buzz in your stomach as you anticipate the rundown into turn 1. It's all a bit like going into battle, and the unknown situation makes you nervous. Those pre-race nerves are a good thing. The day you don't have them means that you don't care anymore. And of course, you have to make sure that all the procedures are second nature to you, so that they're not taking up too much of your capacity.
With the race minutes away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Young superstar Max Verstappen starts from pole position, edging out Sergio Perez, who lines up P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Bottas, Hamilton, Lando Norris and Ricciardo, Gasly, Leclerc. The Black Mamba, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty, and Fernando Alonso, Russell, Tsunoda, Robert Schwartzman, and Joe Giovinazzi, Ocon, Daniel Ticktum, and Nicholas Latifi, Sainz, Mick Schumacher, Stroll, and Nikita Mazepin. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out. Then let's see who can prevail today.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
And we will try not to let you down indeed, and we're not going to change the pit strategy at all, because by right there's a high tire degradation around Jeddah, especially with the softs. So obviously I'm not going to go for the overcut strategy. I'm either going to go for the undercut. I'm going for the regular strategy, as now here the 5 red lights for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, and it's lights out and away we go. Checo getting quite a bit of stun at Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen doesn't have the reaction time as he's side by side with his teammate, as we are side by side with Fernando Alonso fighting for 10th place of the line. And actually we managed to get the better exit speed because he ran out of space, I think, but we did give him the space, because all the time you have to leave the space. So as now head into turn 3, we are still trailing Charles Leclerc, and Ferrari are not doing that good with Pierre Gasly in 7th. So if they finish in 9th and 7th respectively, all they're gonna get is 8 points in total, which is obviously not what they want. But if this were to be Ferrari in 2020, then this would be a very reasonable goal to finish in the points, because they were really awful in the 2020 season. So anyway, now here we're still trying to catch up to Charles Leclerc as much as possible, because he's getting held up by the dirty of Yuki Tsunoda. And there's actually a huge train of cars, but I think by now the Red Bulls, both Sergio Perez and the Flying Dutchman, Supermax, they should be moving away from the grid. They should be much faster than the grid, because they actually have a lot of pace in the second half of this season. As you can see here, Charles Leclerc, is actually making many small corrections on the steering wheel. I have no idea why he does that. It's actually, I think we're gonna go for the send on the inside. We're gonna go for it. No, we're gonna back out last minute. And that could have been the send of dreams, but I just anticipated that Charles Leclerc would turn in because the AI is just really aggressive. And in the new game in F1 2022, or should I say F1 22, they are going to be much more aggressive, as now we're going to go down the inside of Charles Leclerc. We are also being very aggressive as well, leaving him little to no space, but just enough space to not push him off the track. As you can see, we managed to clear him out of turn 2. As you can see, now we are heading into the fast corners now. Yuki Tsunoda is our next target for P8, followed by Pierre Gasly. As you can see the pecking order there, I'm sure I don't need to see all the driver names. And anyway, you can see the two Mercedes, they're not able to catch up to the Red Bulls. Valtteri Bottas is in third place, is already 1.1 seconds behind Sergio Perez, or should I say Max Verstappen, sorry for my error. But either way, you can see Mercedes are actually falling behind in the R&D charts compared to Red Bull. But either way, Red Bull are not our priorities, I would say. Mercedes are not our priorities. Our priorities is just to finish as high as possible, maybe even a podium. So we just have to pass like one Mercedes or something. But either way, we're still stuck behind Yuki Tsunoda. Pierre Gasly is still stuck there in P7. I don't think we are able to move up the order unless we have DRS. So as we now head into the final corner with two green sectors, heading into turn 24 with a very late apex, focusing more on throttle application for exit speed. Sergio Perez sets the fastest lap with a 1 minute 27.008, and now DRS is being enabled heading into lap 3. Now heading into turn 1, all I have to do is try to get a very good exit speed here as we almost go for the cutback on Yuki Tsunoda. I think because I took a lot of curb at turn 1, which helped open up the entry and the apex of turn 2, and we could have taken more curb there in turn 3. And so now we head into turn 4, turn 5. We could have taken more exit there. Now into turn 7, we're gonna have DRS. There's gonna be a huge DRS train, so I don't think we have the time and the track to overtake Yuki Tsunoda heading into the braking zone of turn 9. We tried to go around the outside there almost, but we're just too far behind. So we're gonna have to live to fight another day, and I think we're gonna have another chance into the last DRS zone in between turn 23 and turn 24, I believe, or maybe turn 22, I'm not so sure. And now there's Yuki Tsunoda squeezing us, and we now squeeze him back as we now have the inside line. And now we head into this medium speed corner. We actually back out this time because I think he doesn't have DRS. Oh wait, no, he has DRS. But either way, oh my goodness, we hit the wall there. And Yuki Tsunoda aggressively blocks us. So now we are trying to go around the outside for a switchback. No, he locks up there. And so we are unable to complete the move. But we're going to have to get past him really soon and as quick as possible. Mainly because that since I'm aiming for like a top 5 finish, maybe even a podium or top 4. I can't stay behind these people behind the under the what you call below the bottom half of the top 10. So, but you know, I'm sure you understand what I'm saying. Is basically that I can't waste any more time with people that are so-called not part of my race. As you can see, you're heading into turn 24. We do go a bit wide there, the apex, which obviously hinders our chance of getting closer to Pierre. We were just lucky that we have DRS here, as now you can see Lando Norris fighting his fellow British veteran Lewis Hamilton. As we now actually mess up our turn 1, which actually affected our turn 2 quite heavily there. As you can see, we're actually losing quite a lot of time due to a very bad exit space. You can see Pierre Gasly is just getting held up by Lando Norris. And now Lewis Hamilton should have the position. And yes, he does. Lando Norris does back out, I think because of the DRS. So Lewis Hamilton does have the better exit speed, but Lando Norris does have the DRS on his fellow British compatriot. But instead of battling Lewis Hamilton, he battles his teammate Daniel Ricciardo as we try to go for a move around the outside of Pierre Gasly. But we were just too far behind, just like how we did against Yuki Tsunoda in lap 2 or lap 3, I'm not so sure. I think lap 3 it was. So now heading into the medium speed chicane. We're trying to focus a very good exit speed. We do get quite a bit of wheel spin because of the lack of grip due to the dirty air from the Ferrari. And dirty air wouldn't be such a huge factor in the new game of F1 22 because the cars are designed to have closer racing. And most of the downforce is also coming from the ground effect in the cars for this season. of 2022. But either way, we actually managed to go around the outside. We're trying to go around the outside and try to give him the space. Then we actually hit Daniel Ricciardo and hit the Pierre Gasly in process. And we get wheel spin as well. But thankfully we do not have damage. But we are now back with Yuki Tsunoda, which is obviously the outcome that I have not been looking for. Things went south in turn 24. As we now head towards turn 1, I'm not gonna give him space there, because if they want to be aggressive with me, I'm gonna be aggressive with them back as well. You know, fight fire with fire. So we're gonna go down the inside here, leave him little to no space at the exit there. That move was probably a bit debatable on the exit, but now we have DRS on Pierre Gasly, and he actually lost quite a bit of time there because the McLarens are too busy fighting each other for position. As now we actually have a chance to go around the outside of Pierre Gasly. This time we're much closer. I think we can do it. We almost hit Daniel Ricciardo in the process, but we can actually carry more speed now, and we actually managed to go around the outside successfully. And this time we are now able to put our focus on the McLarens, as now we are heading into the exit of this medium speed chicane, trying to get as much speed as possible, using as much ERS as possible. Getting really close to Daniel Ricciardo there. We actually can go down the inside here, and actually yes, we do go down the inside, and we are actually going to pit this lap. So at the moment, making a lot of moves is really good at this point, and I think Ricciardo is going to pit this lap. I'm not sure what the McLaren team has thought about the pit strategy for the Honey Badgers. Now we're going to head towards the final corner, towards the exit there. We could have used a bit more track on the exit, as now we're going to head towards the pit lane. Lewis Hamilton and Lando Norris stay out. Daniel Ricciardo is actually staying out. Pierre Gasly is following me into the pits, as now there is his Ferrari team box. Yep, there it is, and here we are all the way towards the end here. As we're gonna have quite an average pit stop. Pit stop I'd say was around 2.8 seconds. Really slow. But now all we have to do is try to pick up as much time as possible, because now the top 10 drivers are actually suffering from quite a lot of tire wear, because as I said at the start, the tire degradation here in Jeddah is really high, especially for the soft compound tires, which despite being the most aggressive tires have the highest amount of tire wear. So all we have to do is just try to drive as fast as possible, drive as hard as possible. As you can see, Checo is staying out in the lead with Valtteri Bottas in second, Lando Norris in third. So and around this point we should be going past Lewis Hamilton. Now we're gonna go past Lewis Hamilton. Oh yes, we are. We're gonna go for the undercut on Lewis Hamilton. We're gonna go for the is the overcut. No, it's the undercut on Lewis Hamilton, and the undercut on Daniel Ricciardo as well. So we managed to get 2 free positions. So thankfully I did not change the pit strategy at all. If not, I would have lost time there. So all we have to do is try to keep up the pace, and catch up to those who are on the worn out softs. For example, Robert Schwartzman, our former teammate, sitting in P7. As you can see, Lewis Hamilton actually has a move down the inside. Are we gonna hold him up? No, we're gonna give him a bit of contact there. We could have used a bit more track, but either way we still we still have to fight for position back with Lewis Hamilton. We're gonna have to make one move. If not, if we spend too much time with him, I'm not sure if we can make the undercut on the rest of the drivers here. So now we're actually going quite close with Lewis Hamilton, but this time I actually back out because I wanted to get the DRS. Because if I don't get the DRS here, Lewis Hamilton is obviously going to benefit from the extra overspeed that he will get in the Mercedes. So now here we are, going around the outside here, leaving the space at the same time as we now go down the inside. And oh, things got a bit argy-bargy between the two of us there. Because if you don't go for the gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver. While at the same time, if you go for a gap that doesn't exist, you're Pastor Maldonado, and actually go for the undercut on Lando Norris, and we actually managed to go past him just about. So if had we spent any more time battling Lewis Hamilton, I think we would have definitely not benefit from that. I think we would have been behind Lando Norris. So now here into lap 12, we actually do hit the wall there, heading into the final lap of this race. As you now fast forward towards the medium speed chicane here, where Charles Leclerc, Mick Schumacher crashed quite badly in the last season. As now Max Verstappen takes the checkered flag for Red Bull. I think that's the championship over. I think Max Verstappen is the championship, is a world champion of season 2 of My Team Career Mode. as we now head towards the final corner. Daniel Ricciardo's right behind us because of the front wing damage that we got. But either way, despite not getting a podium, I'm quite happy with the P4.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
And with that, another year of Formula One draws to a close. And the new World Drivers' Champion is declared. Another entry added to that prestigious list of the sport's most incredible drivers. Not just victory today then, but the championship as well. What a spectacular season they've had. Congratulations to the whole team. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
I really feel the track layout combined with the track temperatures we saw today suited their car. These cars come alive when the tyres are just at the right temperature, and the driver did a great job managing that as well. They just look so comfortable out there. It's like anything, it always looks so easy when it all just clicks.
The drivers are en route to the podium as we speak. What a fantastic win for the Red Bull team. They performed exceptionally today, keeping us firmly on the edge of our seats throughout the entirety of the race. Congratulations to everyone at the team.
Well, the Flying Dutchman is the world champion this season of F1 2021 My Team Career mode, with his compatriot Checo Perez unfortunately falling out in second place both in this race and the championship, with Valtteri Bottas in third as well. Lewis Hamilton, after quite an awful season, is actually sitting fourth in the the Drivers' Championship. And we do get 12 points, which is really good, which helps us overtake Carlos Sainz in the championship, because he didn't even finish in the points because he did get a penalty starting 19th. So he didn't do that bad in this race, and all we have to do is just close the gap to AlphaTauri despite having one race left, and pretty much we just try to catch up to Charles Leclerc in Abu Dhabi in the final round of this season in career mode. So all we have to do is just finish ahead of Charles Leclerc, or finish in multiple positions ahead of Charles Leclerc heading into the next race in Abu Dhabi. So hopefully we get a good season finale for this season, and I think season 3 could be a nice start towards my championship drive. I'm sorry. And talks aside, this is the end of today's video. Be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications in order not to miss any future uploads. Hopefully you won't miss out in Abu Dhabi. Hopefully it turns out well for me, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.